Man, if you've been reading the headlines about Florida real estate lately, you are probably dealing with some serious whiplash. I mean, one day the market is literally in a free fall, and then the very next day, we hear about massive wealth flooding in and absolutely shattering sales records. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to roll up our sleeves, untangle these totally contradictory headlines, and make some actual sense of Florida's fractured 2026 real estate market. So here's the million-dollar question, right? Is the Florida housing market crashing, or is it booming? Look, if you're feeling confused right now, you are definitely not alone. Because the wild reality is, both of these exact scenarios are happening at the exact same time. The Sunshine State, it's just no longer moving in one single direction. The secret to understanding all this, it's the localized reality. We are looking at a massive geographic split. Take the Gulf Coast markets, for example. Recent forecasts show them taking a pretty serious hit, with Cape Coral projecting a staggering 10.2% drop in median sales prices. Ouch. But then you look across the state to Miami, and it's still projected to actually gain 1.1%. It's really a textbook illustration of how Florida is just no longer one unified market. So here's our roadmap to decode these macroeconomic forces today. 1. The Florida housing paradox. 2. A tale of two markets. 3. The condo safety reckoning. 4. Insurance relief finally arrives. 5. The new Florida migrant. And 6. Navigating the 2026 market. Let's dive in. Section 1. The Florida housing paradox, statewide drops versus localized booms. Like I said, Florida is now a state of extremes. And honestly, treating it like a monolith is just going to lead you astray. When we zoom out and look at this statewide cooling trend, the overall median sales price is projected to fall 1.9% in 2026. But you really have to look at where the pain is actually concentrated. Condos, they are leading this decline, down nearly 10.8% year over year in listing prices. Meanwhile, single-family homes are only down about 3.6%. So why the gap? Well, it's because a growing supply of homes is hitting the market exactly at the same time that rising auxiliary costs, think things like massive HOA fees, are really weighing down overall demand. Section 2. A tale of two markets, condos versus single-family and the luxury boom. This is where those stark divisions become incredibly apparent. Just look at the Miami Realtors forecast. Single-family homes are projected to recover really nicely, with sales jumping 4.9% in 2026 and prices ticking up 2.8%. But drop down and look at the condo market. Sales are projected to decline by another 5.3% in 2026, with prices dipping too. It's clear as day. The older condo market is really struggling to find its footing, while single-family homes are already bouncing back. But wait, because here comes the ultimate paradox. While the everyday condo market is clearly struggling, check out the explosive growth in the ultra-luxury sector kicking off 2026. Sales for single-family homes over $1 million, up 14%. Homes between $5 and $10 million are up a wild 31%. And luxury condos in that $3 to $5 million range, get this, a massive 69% surge. Wealthy buyers are absolutely still pouring money into high-end properties, totally unfazed by the broader market cooling down. Section 3. The condo safety reckoning, post-Surfside realities. So you might be wondering, why is the everyday condo market taking such a brutal hit while everything else actually seems pretty resilient? Well, those specific challenges all trace back to recent safety legislation, specifically Senate Bill 154 and SIRS. Following the really tragic Surfside collapse, Florida stepped in and passed laws requiring older condos to undergo mandatory structural milestone inspections. They also mandated SIRS, which stands for Structural Integrity Reserve Studies. Basically, this officially forces condo associations to stop kicking the can down the road. They now have to maintain dedicated, fully funded reserves for critical components like roofs and waterproofing. And let me tell you, that takes real money. Years, sometimes decades of deferred maintenance are suddenly coming due all at once. Because of this, for anyone looking to buy in 2026, the game has fundamentally changed. You just can't only look at the nice granite countertops and the pretty pool view anymore. You literally have to follow these exact steps. First up, verify that the milestone inspection has actually been completed. Second, review the SIR-CRS report to see exactly what structural issues are hiding in the building. And third, meticulously analyze the current dues and any looming special assessments. Because if a building hasn't done this homework, lenders are going to consider it non-warrantable, which basically means you probably won't even get approved for a standard mortgage to buy the place. Section 4, Insurance Relief finally arrives. The silver lining. Now, before you think it's all just doom, gloom, and rising costs, there is actually some truly historic use in Florida's notoriously tough property insurance market, and it's balancing out those painful condo HOA hikes. 8.7%. That is the average statewide drop in premiums for Citizens property insurance policyholders that was announced at the start of 2026. And hey, if you're down in South Florida, it gets even better. Homeowners in Broward County are seeing drops of over 14%. To put that in perspective, that can mean an average direct savings of over $800 a year for a lot of households. So, what exactly is causing prices to suddenly drop? Well, it all comes down to legislative reforms, specifically SB 2A and HB 837 that were passed back in 2023. Get this crazy stat. Prior to these laws, Florida represented only 9% of all U.S. insurance claims, but accounted for an unbelievable 79% of all U.S. insurance lawsuits. By eliminating one-way attorney fees and closing up assignment of benefits loopholes, the state finally curbed all that frivolous litigation. And as a direct result, 17 brand new private insurers have eagerly jumped into the Florida market, bringing much-needed competition and, finally, driving those prices down.
Section 5. The new Florida migrant. Quality over quantity.
Okay, while the flashy headlines absolutely love to claim there is this massive mass exodus out of Florida right now, the actual data paints a really different picture. It is absolutely true that net domestic migration has plummeted by a staggering 93% compared to its crazy 2022 peak. But experts are quick to note this isn't necessarily an exodus, it's just market normalization. That frantic pandemic-era relocation surge, which was really driven by reactive moves, is over. And it's shifting the state from this breakneck, chaotic growth into a much more sustainable, normal pattern. And here's the thing. While the sheer volume of migrants has definitely dropped, the wealth of these new arrivals is incredibly high. If we look at out-of-state tech and finance professionals moving to Miami for jobs, the top origins are high-income states like New York, Texas, and California. And here is the real kicker. The average salary for these interstate job migrants moving to Miami, it's over $101,000 a year. So yeah, fewer people are moving in, but they are bringing significantly more institutional wealth and heavy purchasing power with them. Section 6. Navigating the 2026 market. The Great Divide in Action. Understanding these deeply opposing macroeconomic forces is quite literally the only way a buyer can strategically navigate the state today. I mean, just look at how wildly different these realities are on the ground right now. On one hand, you have a typical homeowner in Miami-Dade who might save an average of $834 a year on their home insurance thanks to those new legal reforms. But on the exact same day, an owner in an older condo right down the street might see their HOA fees hiked by $75 to $300 a month, plus potential special assessments, all just to meet those new structural compliance laws we talked about. So what does this all mean for you? What should you actually take away from this? Well, here are your actionable 2026 buyer strategies. First, if you are buying a condo, you have to heavily scrutinize the HOA reserves. You want total transparency there. Second, target newer condo builds, specifically ones under 25 years old, because they are largely insulated from those new safety compliance shocks. Third, if you already own a home, call your mortgage servicer and ask for an off-cycle escrow analysis. This lets you leverage those new insurance savings immediately, rather than waiting all the way until the end of the year. And finally, if your budget allows for it, seriously consider single-family homes. They're showing much steadier appreciation and present significantly fewer financing hurdles right now. The days of just buying a property blind in Florida and watching it magically appreciate overnight, yeah, those days are behind us. The market has matured. It is split right down the middle by property type, by geography, and by age. So I'm going to leave you with this question to ask yourself. Does your budget and your timeline actually align with Florida's new era of strategic, quality-driven real estate? Are you ready to really do the homework? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and we will definitely catch you on the next one.